There's so many different disciplines in the room and so many different things I could talk about that might be interesting to some or all of you. And I thought, I'm just going to kind of tell you a cool story of something that happened to me last year and take from it what you would like. So my name's Elan, and this story starts with Kickstarter. You guys familiar with how Kickstarter works? It's a crowdfunding site. For those of you who don't know, I'll go real quick. It's an opportunity to give money to new projects that you've probably never heard of before and to sort of kickstart them, get new companies off the ground. I have backed way too many projects on Kickstarter. I have backed more than 200 projects on Kickstarter, probably more than 400 in the crowdfunding space in general, because I'm kind of addicted to this stuff. And I've backed some insane things, like an alarm clock that wakes you up with smell instead of sound. I don't know if you can see on the pictures that your options are hot croissant, peach, or dollar. You can wake up to the smell of money, which I always thought was pretty rad. I backed, how about an endless Slinky treadmill? Right? Everybody needs this stuff. How about, you're driving your car, you got your hand out the window and the wind's blowing, you sort of do this surfing thing. How about an actual surfboard that you put on your fingers to surf outside your car? Yeah, I get way too into this stuff, but I think it's really cool, and I've always wanted to put up a project on Kickstarter. So let's sort of take that and put it in a box and put it away for a second, and we'll get back to it in a moment. This is me. I need to tell you a little bit about myself for the story to make any sense at all. I have been building video games my whole life. Digital games, large-scale games, community games. Some of the biggest I've done were for Xbox. I helped them build 2 consoles, tons and tons of big AAA hits. And there's a problem I kept running into. This is the problem. Can anyone tell me what's wrong with this picture? Alone, right? Who said that? Yes, perfect. This bugs the hell out of me. The games that I was building are isolating. This is how you play them. You sit alone. Even if there's other people in the room with you, you don't talk to them. You're all just staring at the screen. What I remember as a kid building games for my siblings is we would laugh, and we would throw things, and we would make a mess. And it was this unbelievable experience of joy and community. And this is not that. This is different. This is sort of drowning. And it was really bothering me because my career was kind of built on building experiences like this. And I really wanted to do something about it. So I resigned. I quit my job. And I decided to take a deck of cards and make a game. Me and a buddy, Shane Small, we took a deck of regular poker cards, we scribbled all over them, a new game that we invented, and we showed it to every single friend we had. We played this game constantly, and everyone really, really liked it. And we got really excited, and we thought, hey, maybe this is that Kickstarter project I've always wanted to do. Maybe we'll put something like this up on Kickstarter. And one of the friends I showed it to was my buddy named Matt Inman, who draws a comic called The Oatmeal. Has anyone heard of The Oatmeal? A few? Yeah? Okay. For those who haven't, I'm very excited because now I get to show you oatmeal comics, or at least one oatmeal comic. Here's the kind of things that my buddy Matt draws. Here's frame 1, a woman wearing nothing but a t-shirt, and 3 very clever bullet points to show how great that is. Here's the corresponding slide for a man. This is Matt's. This is the oatmeal sense of humor. And I showed him this game, just scribbled out on cards, and he said, this is great. This is like the most fun card game I've ever played. And I laughed the whole time, and we all had a blast. Why don't you let me join your team, and we'll put this up on Kickstarter. So we did. We had our little threesome, and we came up with a funny name, and we were all ready to put this thing up on Kickstarter. But anytime you enter a new environment, this was going to be our very first crowdfunding campaign, I believe you should do a little bit of recon, figure out what it looks like, who's succeeded, who has failed. And so when we were getting ready to put this thing up, we were learning as much as we could about Kickstarter. And what we found is these are the top 4 games in Kickstarter history. These have made a ridiculous amount of money, $3.8 million all the way up to $4.1 million. These are for traditional games, a lot like the stuff that I've been building my entire career that I wasn't really happy with. And the thing that really killed me was the #1 spot, Ouya. This is a video game console. it raised more than double second place, let's call it $8.6 million, to deliver exactly those same drowning, isolating experiences, inviting them into your home over and over again. And I looked at this and I got really, really frustrated. And I thought, maybe we can do something about this, but we've just got our own silly little card game. We're charging $20 for the thing. Like, we don't really have a chance of approaching any of the big guys. But for 500 people is all we wanted to sell to. For those 500 people, we will make sure that they are happier tomorrow than they are today, because we're going to bring joy into their lives. So we put together our page. And the way it works on Kickstarter is you say how much you're trying to raise. In our case, $10,000, which will get us our 500 decks of cards. We made a funny video. We got the page all ready to go. We all took a deep breath, and we hit go. And what happened? Well, I'm pleased to say it went really well. We hit that 10,000 goal in 20 minutes, which is great. And then it kept going. And by the end of that 7 hours, we had $1 million, and then it jumped up to $2 million, and then it jumped up to $3 million. And we started to think, holy crap, could this be that David and Goliath story? Could our silly little card game take a swing at defeating the giant evil monster that's just building those horrible, isolating experiences? Might we show that a little team who wants to bring joy to the world could show that it's bigger and better than all of those giant digital Goliaths ahead of it? The answer to that question is absolutely not. This is what our first week of sales looks like on Kickstarter. You can see, huge opening, amazing. We were all celebrating. But there is a very definitive trend down, down, down here. And we knew that we were about to see the end of our campaign. It was a 30-day campaign, but after the first week, it's very clear that we're going to go right into zero. And maybe that's okay. Maybe we just all sit down and say, holy crap, we just sold an unbelievable number of cards, and we're going to bring joy to all these people, and that's great. But maybe we just sit down and let this run its course. But it wasn't sitting right with me. I was really bothered by this because we did have a chance. Because who has opening weeks like this? This is incredible. So I decided to dig into this a little. How did Ouya do it? How are they able to raise so much money and keep raising money? So what I did, I've got a little bit of hacking skills, and so I jumped onto their site and I downloaded all their data files. And I started plotting them. I put them on a graph, and here's what the graphs told me. Here is the amount of money that Ouya raised every day of their 30-day campaign. And you can see, like us, they had a big opening. Theirs was actually much bigger. And then it went down. But then they were able to not let it go to zero. They were able to maintain and have little bumps along the way and have a huge finale. And I thought, well, that's really cool, but ultimately, this is a useless graph, right? This just shows, okay, here's what they did. So I kept downloading files, and I built another graph. This is the number of messages posted to their Kickstarter page every day of their 30-day campaign. Really cool. Also, completely useless on its own. However, taken together, we have the secret of all of Kickstarter right here on the screen. And the secret is that there is a one-to-one correlation between these two graphs. Every time more messages are posted, they earned more money on those days. One-to-one. It goes, every time one goes up, the other follows it by the end of that 24-hour period. This is magic. This is so important. Because what this says, let me phrase it another way, everybody looks at crowdfunding just like this. Funding. How much money are we going to raise? How are we possibly going to raise more money? And that first word kind of fades out a little bit. But what those two graphs taken together show us is that we should be looking at it this way. This is only about the crowd. And I realized at that moment that I'd been training for this moment my entire life because I'm really good at telling giant stories on a large scale. Let me show you guys quick examples of what I mean. EDOC laundry. So when George W. Bush was elected for his second term into office, a lot of my friends were really disappointed because they said, oh, it was rigged, it didn't really count, our votes didn't count, the whole thing was fake. And this isn't a story about your political persuasion. I honestly don't care, but I would ask all of them, who did you vote for? And the answer was always the same. Oh, I didn't vote because it doesn't matter. It's the most infuriating answer imaginable. So I did what anyone would do. I started a clothing company. And the clothing company was really cool. They were shirts that I was really proud of. We all, everyone in the company wore these things all day, every day. But the trick is, every shirt in the line had embedded in it a secret code or hidden message somewhere. In the stitching, in the artwork. Sometimes you had to fold a shirt a certain way or get it near another shirt or get it hot or get it wet. We used thermal inks and infrared inks and glow-in-the-dark inks and all kinds of cool stuff to hide secrets in your clothing. And if you could figure out a secret in your clothing, you would take it to our website and you'd enter in what you find, and a movie starts playing, a little 2-minute clip. We made a ton of these things. We made one for every single shirt in the line. And they all fit together like a puzzle or like a TV series. And you learned a story about a woman on the run from the law for a crime she didn't commit, and only you can save her, and why is she communicating through clothing, and how did she find you, and on it went, knee-deep. Before you know it, you're knee-deep in a murder mystery told through your clothing. And they all ended in a cliffhanger, so if you want to know what happens next, great, go buy another shirt. Really fun business model, really fun project, but I told you guys it was about this guy. This picture takes a second to really sink in, to appreciate. So here's how the story went. I never know how long I should keep this one up, but here we go. So here's how it went. The story was actually about a band. And there was a member of the band was murdered, and you learn this through all the shirts and the stories they tell. These are our band members. The band had a very important message. It was a message of hope and a message of freedom, but it was being oppressed by their evil record company, and they wanted to get the message out. On and on this went, and without us ever telling anyone, what players figured out was that it's actually the story of the founding fathers of the United States. You can see all the name similarities, Jeff, Jefferson, Lynn, Franklin. Everyone had a counterpart. Each one of them was literally one of the founding fathers. And the beats of our story matched the story of the founding of the United States, literally beat for beat. And we never told anybody this. The players figured it out because it was a really good story. And whenever you get a really good story, you always want to jump a little bit ahead and figure out what's coming next. And they realized that to do that, they had to do a little bit of history. They had to learn. And as they learned, the more excited they got, and the more they told their friends about it. And then, completely unprompted, they started forming Rock the Vote parties, and they started canvassing their neighborhoods. And this campaign got 2 million new voters to register without us ever asking them to, but because they realized this story is actually what is going on today, and it matters. And we care about these characters, meaning we care about what's going on today. And for the next election, there was the largest turnout in history for my demographic. And I like to take 100% of the credit for that. Let me show you another example. We did a scavenger hunt. Giant global scale story. You had to track down this woman who was on the run and figure out where she was hiding, and she would hide clues to sort of obscure her trail everywhere. We did building projections in 16 cities around the world. We did skywriting, clues above cities. We did the largest fireworks display in Seattle's history. We rented this barge and just exploded the sky above it. Every color, every shape, every direction, every orientation of every explosion was a clue to lead you towards the end of this thing. And you can't possibly solve it yourself, so you got to work with your friends and collaborate and figure out who's got what bit of information and how they all tie together. My favorite example was the Bellagio Hotel in Las Vegas. I wanted to do a big finale for this. In front of the Bellagio Hotel in Vegas, there's a giant lake. Once an hour at night, the lake comes to life, and the fountains dance, and there's music and lights. And I really wanted to tell my story on those fountains. And it turns out that the security for those fountains sucks. It takes even the most amateur of lockpicker to break into the pump control room and download their software and write your own. So what we did was we put a little bit of code on their system that told our custom show. We built an island in the middle of the lake, put a projector on it, figured out how to turn the fountains on full blast, projected 60-foot tall holography onto those fountains as they went to tell the next part of our story. But these are all words. None of this matters. I'm going to actually show you a video so you can see what I'm talking about. So here's the regular show. this is just how their show works. It's really beautiful and majestic. About 100,000 people showed up to watch the show, and then halfway through, this happened.
It's time. My name is Loki. My job is to find the smartest people on the planet.
So she went through this performance and gave out clues to the audience. Don't bother to try to solve any of this stuff.
Think you've got what it takes?
Very important parts missing because I edited it together really quickly. But not only could we do full holography, we took over their sound system. We could also make it so she could control the fountains and choreograph them together and literally push water around the entire lake, which was really fun. And then once she delivered her message for a few minutes, we turned her off, gracefully exited their system, and returned control back to them. And then the show went on as normal. So that was really fun. I should say, you guys are welcome to post or tweet anything I say. Not that one, please. The police showed up, and I actually did get arrested for that one, and it's a whole nother story. But the more happy ending to that story is the person who solved the scavenger hunt before anybody else. We had to figure out something awesome to do with them, because holy crap, they had to jump through some hoops to solve this thing. So we flew them into space, which I thought was a pretty great reward for a global scavenger hunt. Okay, back to our story. Things were not going so well. We were noticing this trend going down to zero, and we got to do something about it, because I think we can, because I think it's not the time to lie down, because I think this thing matters, and we should do something about it. And I know the secret. I know how to tell stories. So I gathered up the team, and I said, guys, we're going to tell a story. We're not going to do crowdfunding anymore. We're going to tell a giant story. And what's going to be so spectacular about this story is it's not going to be about us. It's going to be about them. The protagonists of our story are going to be every single person on the internet, and we're going to invite them in and tell their story for them. And what does that mean? So on a Kickstarter campaign, you have these things called stretch goals. The way that stretch goals work is you basically say, look, we are trying to raise $10,000, but if we raise $20,000, we'll give you some special thing. And if we raise $50,000, we'll give you some other special thing. We had the same things. We said, look, stretch goal 1, we'll double the number of cards for you to play with. And stretch goal number 2, we'll have this awesome box that's going to be even better. But instead of associating those with dollar amounts, we associated them with these things called achievements. This is about crowd, not funding. Crowd, not funding. So funding doesn't matter, which means we're never going to talk about money again. The story we're about to tell is about the crowd. These achievements took the form of these 40 grayed out icons on our webpage. And they're grayed out because no one's achieved them yet. But what are they? They're things like, hey, take a picture of 10 people wearing cat ears, right? Or how about one of our characters' name was Beard Cat? How about 25 pictures of a beard cat? Or build us a Wikipedia page, or take pictures of a real taco cat, another one of our characters, or the insane, a picture of 10 Batmans in one hot tub. All of these things are insane. They're designed to be insane, but they're designed for the people, the internet, to participate, to do incredible, amazing things, and then we are going to be their megahorn. We're going to amplify it. We're going to just push them all over the place and tell their story. Again, we're done with funding. All that matters is the crowd. We want to tell their story. So does it work? Well, first of all, update 9, we couldn't label, Kickstarter doesn't label your own updates. It lets you, you must go with a numerical system, so this happened to be our 9th update. So we said, look, any picture you submit, put the word update 9 in it somewhere just to prove you're not using old photos. All right, so how about 25 pictures of a real beard cat? Did that work? Hell yes, that worked really, really well. We got thousands of these submitted. These are some of my favorites. And they're amazing. Look at this. Like, the people got so excited to take pictures of a beard cat. How about Taco Cat? Taco Cat, by the way, is very special because the word Taco Cat is a palindrome. Same word, forwards and backwards. So we said, Taco Cat, can you show us pictures of a real Taco Cat? Yes, we can show you pictures of a real Taco Cat. This one in the bottom left is my favorite. This is a cat shelter. This woman legally changed the name of this cat to Taco Cat. If ever there was a real Taco Cat, here he is, like real. All right, 10 Batmans in one hot tub. That's just not even possible, except that it is! They went so far above and beyond anything we thought they could possibly do. 10 people were in cat ears. This one was simple. We just got so many thousands of people who posed in this picture. They went out to their favorite bars, and they got all their friends together, and they bought cat ears, and they took this picture. So we had to up the ante. How about 50 people? Yeah, they actually pulled that one off too, multiple times. And we thought, okay, all right, you asked for it. How about 100? 100's not possible. Where do you even get 100 cat ears? No, they actually pulled that one off as well. This is 234 people wearing cat ears posing for this picture. Then things got even crazier. Then people started doing things we didn't ask them to do. These are Lego creations built by a master Lego builder of 3 of our characters. He showed up at our office and hand-delivered these things for no reason other than he loved to participate. Because we kept telling people, we're throwing the biggest party the internet has ever seen, and it's yours, and you're invited every day. And so people just kept showing up. They started building us plush toys. This is our Taco Cat plush toy someone built for us. They also built us our Pigacorn plush toy. Balloon animals started showing up. Leggings, all kinds of clothing started showing up. Tattoos, right? Permanent body disfigurement for our silly little $20 game. And then they started making us videos. Yeah. This is just the story, right? This is the story of the audience. Everybody wants to be a part of this crazy thing. All right, you get the idea. So then we sent out early versions of the game to our backers and said, hey, help us test it. And they started all teaming up to test this game. And one of my favorite examples is when you have a game, you have to say who goes first, right? It's the youngest or the tallest or whatever. In our case, I thought it would be really funny to say whoever has the shortest spleen gets to go first, because what the hell. And I thought that was funny, and thought no one else would really think it's funny, because that's the kind of sense of humor I have, until I got this tweet. Amy's an ultrasound tech. And I thought, no frickin' way. And they said, yes, frickin' way. So it turns out Amy gets to go first. If you ever play Exploding Kittens against her, because they actually all got ultrasounds. So how did they do? Of the 40 possible achievements, they got all of them. Completely unlocked it in 30 days, had a blast doing it, celebrated it constantly, and it was amazing. So let's look back at this. We talked about this one-to-one correlation. Our whole goal, how many messages can we get people to post? And this is the #1 campaign in the world in history. So how do we do compared to the absolute #1 spot? Here's how we do. Here's where #9 hits. I am so proud of this graph. If you can be proud of numbers, like this is it. This is me being proud of numbers. Like this, we worked so hard to do this. And holy crap, look at those results. So then the final question is just how does that relate to actual dollars when we stopped asking for money, because that was no longer the goal? Well, the easiest way to say it is to introduce. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Ouya, the second most funded game in all of Kickstarter history. So, thanks a lot, guys.